The emergency room at Metropolitan General Hospital was unusually quiet for a Tuesday evening when the ambulance sirens pierced the night air. Emma Rodriguez looked up from her patient charts, her blonde hair slightly disheveled after a 12-hour shift that had stretched into its 14th hour. At 28, she had been a nurse for 6 years, but the past few months had been particularly challenging as the hospital struggled with budget cuts and understaffing. "Multiple trauma coming in," announced Dr. Martinez as the doors burst open. "Male, mid-30s motorcycle accident. He has lost a significant amount of blood." Emma immediately sprang into action, helping to transfer the unconscious patient to the trauma bay. Even covered in road dust and blood, she could see that this was a man who took care of himself. His clothes, though torn and dirty, were expensive, and his hands showed the soft calluses of someone who worked with his mind rather than manual labor. "We need to get him typed and cross-matched immediately," Dr. Martinez called out as he began his examination. "Emma, can you get the blood bank on the line?" 10 minutes later, Emma returned from the lab with news that made her heart sink. "Doctor, we have a problem. The patient has AB negative blood, and our supply is completely depleted. The blood bank says their next delivery is not until tomorrow morning." Dr. Martinez looked up from the monitors with concern. "How critical is his situation?" "His blood pressure is dropping, and he is going to need a transfusion within the next hour." Emma replied, checking the patient's vitals again. "What about other hospitals in the area?" Emma shook her head. "I already called. There was a multi-car accident earlier today that depleted most of the city's AB negative supply. The nearest available units are in Chicago, which is at least 4 hours away." Dr. Martinez was quiet for a moment, weighing their options. "We need to find a direct donor. AB negative is rare, but maybe we can put out a call to hospital staff." "Doctor," Emma said quietly, "I am AB negative." The room fell silent as the implications of her statement sank in. Dr. Martinez looked at Emma with a mixture of admiration and concern. "Emma, you have been on shift for 14 hours. Are you certain you are in condition to donate?" Emma looked at the unconscious man lying in the hospital bed, his face peaceful despite the severity of his injuries. Something about his situation reminded her of her own father, who had died in a similar accident when she was 16, because the rural hospital had not been properly equipped to save him. "I am certain," she said firmly. "Let me help him." 20 minutes later, Emma sat in a chair beside the patient's bed, a needle in her arm as her blood flowed directly into his system through a carefully monitored transfusion. The procedure was risky, requiring constant supervision to ensure both patients remained stable, but it was their only option. "His vitals are stabilizing," Dr. Martinez announced with relief. "Emma, you may have just saved this man's life." As Emma watched her blood flow into the stranger, she felt a strange sense of connection to him. She found herself wondering about his life, his family, whether anyone was waiting for him to come home. The wedding ring tan line on his finger suggested he had been married, but she noticed no current ring. 3 days later, Emma was finishing her shift when she noticed the patient from the motorcycle accident sitting up in his bed, looking much more alert. She had been checking on him regularly, but this was the first time he had been awake when she visited. "You must be Emma," he said as she entered the room. His voice was stronger than she had expected, and his dark eyes held an intelligence that spoke of quick recovery. "How did you know my name?" Emma asked, approaching his bedside to check his chart. "Dr. Martinez told me that you donated your blood to save my life," he replied. "I wanted to thank you personally. My name is Michael Chen." Emma felt herself blush, slightly. "I was just doing my job, Mr. Chen. Any of the nurses here would have done the same thing. Perhaps, Michael said, studying her face with obvious gratitude. But you were the one who stepped forward when I needed help. Dr. Martinez said you had been working for 14 hours before you donated blood. That goes well beyond the call of duty. Emma shrugged, uncomfortable with the praise. We all have to look out for each other. I am just glad you are recovering well. Michael was quiet for a moment, then asked, Emma, would you mind sitting down for a minute? I have something I would like to discuss with you. Emma glanced at the clock, noting that her shift was officially over. Something in his tone made her curious enough to settle into the visitor's chair. Emma, I need to tell you something about myself, Michael began. I am the CEO of Chen Technologies. We develop medical software and equipment for hospitals. The reason I was on that motorcycle was because I was rushing home from a business meeting to pick up my 8-year-old daughter from her after-school program. Emma nodded, encouraging him to continue. I am a single father. My wife died from cancer 2 years ago, and since then it has been just me and Lily. The accident made me realize how fragile life is, and how quickly Lily could end up alone if something happened to me. Michael shifted in his bed, clearly leading up to something important. Emma, I have a proposition for you. I have been looking for someone to help care for Lily, someone who understands the value of life, and has the kind of character that would put a stranger's needs before their own safety. Emma felt her pulse quicken. Mr. Chen, what exactly are you suggesting? I am suggesting a position as Lily's full-time caregiver and my household manager. The salary would be triple what you make here at the hospital, with full benefits and housing provided. But more than that, I am suggesting that you become part of our family. Emma stared at him in amazement. You want to hire me based on one blood donation? I want to hire you based on the character you showed when you gave part of yourself to save a stranger, Michael corrected. I have spent the past 3 days thinking about what kind of person does that without hesitation. The kind of person I want in my daughter's life. Emma was quiet for a long moment, processing this unexpected offer. Mr. Chen, you do not know anything about my background, my qualifications, my experience with children. You are right, Michael admitted. But I know that when I was dying, you gave me your blood without knowing who I was, or whether I deserved it. That tells me everything I need to know about who you are. He reached for her hand. Emma, I am not just offering you a job. I am offering you a chance to be part of something meaningful, to help me raise a little girl who needs someone in her life who understands that caring for others is the most important work any of us can do. 6 months later, Emma stood in the kitchen of Michael's beautiful home, helping 8-year-old Lily with her homework while dinner simmered on the stove. The transition from hospital nurse to family caregiver had been easier than she had imagined. Perhaps because the core of both jobs was the same, taking care of people who needed help. Emma, Lily said, looking up from her math problems, Daddy says you saved his life. Is that true? Emma smiled, thinking about how that act of giving had led to receiving more than she had ever imagined possible. I think maybe we saved each other, sweetheart. Sometimes the most important decisions we make happen in moments when we do not have time to think, only time to act from the heart. And sometimes giving away a part of ourselves is exactly what we need to do to discover who we are meant to become.